They look like the perfect family. A proud U.S. Green Beret, his devoted wife.
Hey everyone, this is your guy John. Back again with another chilling crime story that'll make you question just how well you really know the people around you. It began with a disappearance. Not the kind that makes headlines at first, but the kind that lingers quietly in a small community. A husband gone missing, a wife confused and emotional. In late September 2024, the city of Ogden, Utah, was quiet as always, framed by the Wasatch Mountains, calm neighborhoods, and the comforting rhythm of suburban life. But inside one of those homes, something unthinkable had already happened. Matthew Johnson, a decorated Green Beret, was a man who had seen combat, who had faced fear, chaos, and danger in places far from home. To his neighbors, he was the definition of discipline and loyalty. To his wife, Jennifer Gledhill, he was a husband, but no longer the man she wanted to share her life with. On the surface, Jennifer seemed like the perfect suburban mother. She volunteered at her kids' school, posted family pictures on social media, and appeared to live a peaceful domestic life. But beneath that carefully managed image was a secret, a hidden life that was about to destroy everything. The story begins the way so many tragedies do, quietly. A few missed calls, unanswered texts, and then silence. Matthew's friends from his military unit started to worry. He was the kind of man who always checked in, always responded, always kept his word. So when no one had heard from him for 2 days, people started asking questions. Jennifer told everyone that Matthew had gone away for a few days. She said he needed space, that they'd been having problems, and he wanted to clear his head. It sounded believable. Couples fight, people take breaks, but as hours turned into days, and days turned into a week, things started to feel wrong. When officers from the Weber County Sheriff's Office knocked on Jennifer's door for a welfare check, she greeted them with a calm smile. She said she didn't know where Matthew was. She said she hoped he was okay. But something about her tone, something about her timing, didn't sit right with detectives. They noticed the faint smell of cleaning chemicals coming from inside the house. They noticed that the bed in the master bedroom had fresh sheets, almost too fresh. The kind of clean that feels like a cover-up rather than routine housekeeping. When the officers asked if they could take a look around, Jennifer hesitated. Just for a moment, that hesitation was enough to raise suspicion. It wouldn't be long before investigators learned that Jennifer had been living a double life, one that included a secret affair, hidden messages, and an obsession that would lead to murder. Before Matthew disappeared, he and Jennifer had been married for 11 years. They had 3 children together, 2 sons and a daughter. From the outside, their marriage looked stable. But behind closed doors, tension had been growing. Matthew's deployments and military lifestyle had strained their relationship. Jennifer had told friends she felt lonely, that her husband had changed since coming back from overseas. But loneliness alone doesn't explain what she was about to do. In the summer of 2024, Jennifer started an affair with a man she met at her local gym. His name was Michael, and he wasn't just a passing fling. Friends would later describe him as her escape. He was younger, more spontaneous, and made her feel seen again. She began spending more time at the gym, finding reasons to stay out later, texting constantly. At first, she was careful, but as the months went by, she grew reckless. She sent messages that were explicit, emotional, and damning, messages that would later become key evidence in the investigation. In one message, she wrote, "I wish he'd just disappear." Another said, "If he wasn't here, we could be free." They seemed like the words of a frustrated wife venting. But after Matthew vanished, those words took on a chilling new meaning. Detectives quickly discovered that Jennifer had stopped posting about her husband weeks before his disappearance. Her social media, once filled with family photos, suddenly shifted to motivational quotes and selfies. It was as if she was already preparing for a life without him. On September 12th, 2024, neighbors reported hearing what sounded like a loud pop during the night. Just after 1 a.m., no one thought much of it. In Utah suburbs, loud noises aren't uncommon. But now, looking back, that sound was the moment everything changed. According to investigators, Jennifer shot Matthew while he slept. 1 bullet to the head. Quiet, fast, and final. In the hours that followed, she allegedly began a meticulous cover-up. She stripped the bed, cleaned the blood, and wrapped her husband's body in plastic. Then, with the help of her parents, she loaded him into the back of his own truck. From there, the trail grows dark. Security footage later showed Jennifer driving out of town in the early hours of the morning. She was alone, but the back of the truck appeared weighed down. Police believe that when she disposed of the body, somewhere in the remote stretches of Weber County. To this day, Matthew Johnson's body has never been found. When Matthew's military friends couldn't reach him, they reported him missing. Detectives returned to Jennifer's home, this time with a search warrant. What they found painted a horrifying picture. Inside the bedroom, forensic teams detected traces of blood, even after an extensive cleaning. Under ultraviolet light, faint splatters appeared near the headboard and baseboards. They also found a spent shell casing under a dresser. Jennifer told them she didn't know how it got there. In the garage, they discovered cleaning supplies, bleach, gloves, and garbage bags. All recently purchased, and when they checked her phone, things got even darker. There were messages between Jennifer and her lover, Michael, that hinted at planning. She had told him she couldn't take it anymore. She had written about wanting a new life. And then there was the recording. In what prosecutors would later call a chilling confession, Jennifer's voice was captured on audio. It wasn't clear who she was talking to, but the words were undeniable. She said, "I did what I had to do. He wouldn't leave me alone. He was never going to let me go." That single line changed everything. Police arrested Jennifer Gledhill on October 3rd, 2024, just 12 days after Matthew's disappearance. When officers arrived at her home, she didn't fight. She didn't scream. She simply asked, "Did you find him?" Her parents, who lived a few miles away, were arrested days later. Investigators alleged that they helped Jennifer clean the scene and dispose of evidence. At the time of her arrest, Jennifer insisted she was innocent. She told police that Matthew had been abusive, that he had threatened her, and that she acted in self. But the physical evidence, the angle of the shot, the lack of struggle, the planning, told a different story. The case shook the community. People couldn't understand how a woman like Jennifer, a devoted mother, a friendly neighbor, a church volunteer, could be capable of such brutality. But the truth, as investigators uncovered, was that the murder wasn't spontaneous. It was deliberate. Phone records showed she had searched for information on how to clean blood from a mattress and how long it takes for a body to decompose. Those searches were made weeks before Matthew disappeared. In the court of public opinion, Jennifer was already guilty. But the law would have the final say. As news of the case spread, media outlets from across Utah, and eventually the nation picked up the story. The Green Beret who vanished. One headline read, "Wife charged in missing soldier case," said another. Neighbors who once waved to Jennifer on their morning walks now spoke about her in whispers. Her children, placed in the care of relatives, were left to make sense of a nightmare they didn't understand. Behind bars, Jennifer maintained her innocence. In her first phone call from jail, she said, "I didn't kill him." They don't know what really happened. But detectives did know one thing. Matthew Johnson was ente comingome, and the deeper they dug, the more they realized that this wasn't just a story of a missing husband. It was a web of lies, deceit, and a woman whose love had turned into something far darker. The first half of the investigation revealed motive, opportunity, and confession. But what came next would be even more disturbing, because once prosecutors began to piece together the evidence, they realized Jennifer hadn't acted alone for long. As court documents would show, her parents' involvement went beyond helping her clean up. They allegedly helped her move Matthew's truck, destroy evidence, and even coach her story before she spoke to police. For investigators, this was no longer a case of domestic tragedy. It was a conspiracy. Still, without a body, proving murder would be a challenge. Every detail mattered. Every message, every trace of blood. By late October, the case had taken over Utah news. Reporters stood outside the courthouse, describing Jennifer's calm, almost emotionless demeanor. She appeared in court wearing an orange jumpsuit, hair tied back, eyes forward. No tears, no reaction. Prosecutors argued that her lack of emotion reflected guilt. Her defense claimed it was shock. As the legal battle built momentum, one question haunted everyone who followed the case. Where was Matthew Johnson? Without that answer, there could be no closure. Only speculation, fear, and the echo of the last message Jennifer ever sent before her husband vanished. Each read simply "It's done." The morning after Jennifer Gledhill's arrest, the town of Ogden woke to flashing news alerts. The story spread faster than anyone expected. A Green Beret missing. His wife accused of murder. Her parents now implicated. For a quiet Utah suburb, it was almost unthinkable. Neighbors remembered the day clearly. The sight of squad cars parked outside the Gledhill home. Detectives carrying boxes of evidence. Reporters lining the sidewalks. It looked like a movie set, except it wasn't fictionate. Was there a street? Inside the jailhouse, Jennifer sat in a small interview room, her wrists cuffed loosely in front of her. Detectives wanted answers, but she offered very little. She said Matthew had become angry in recent months, that she feared for her safety, and that he'd left after a fight. When investigators showed her the messages, the cleaning receipts, the shell casing, she simply stared at the table. Her voice was calm when she finally spoke. "You think you know everything?" she said, "but you don't know what he did to me." That line would become the centerpiece of her defense. Abuse, fear, desperation. But prosecutors didn't see a battered wife. They saw a calculating woman who wanted freedom and used murder to get it. Forensic experts continued their search, combing through the Johnson home inch by inch. In the drain of the master bathroom, they found traces of human blood that matched Matthew's DNA. In the bed frame, microscopic fragments of bone. And in Jennifer's phone history, searches that chilled even seasoned investigators. Quietest gun to use at home, cleaning after gunshot, Utah wilderness disposal sites. The evidence was overwhelming, yet one thing still haunted detectives. The missing body. Without it, the case could collapse. They launched a massive search operation across rural Weber County, scouring canyons, riverbanks, and abandoned mines. Drones, dogs, volunteers. Matthew Johnson had vanished as if the earth itself had swallowed him. Meanwhile, the affair that had once fueled Jennifer's secret life was falling apart. Her lover, Michael, was questioned repeatedly. He denied any role in the murder, insisting he never believed Jennifer would actually harm her husband. When confronted with their messages, Abe broke a dune. "She told me she'd handle it," he said quietly. "I thought she meant a divorce." Michael's cooperation gave prosecutors a timeline. They placed Jennifer at the scene, linked her purchases, and tied her to the night of the shooting. Still, investigators needed more, something that connected every piece beyond doubt. Then came the recording. Buried in Jennifer's phone backups, technicians found a deleted audio file dated the day after Matthew disappeared. On it, Jennifer's voice was unmistakable, nervous, shaking, but clear. She said, "It's done. I can't believe it's done. He's gone. Mom says we have to clean everything before morning." It was the single most damning piece of evidence in the case. A confession in her own words. When prosecutors revealed it in court, there was silence. Even Jennifer's attorney paused before objecting. The defense argued that the clip was taken out of context, that it was the result of emotional distress, maybe even fantasy. But the jury sat motionless, listening to the quiet terror in Jennifer's voice. The damage was done. Outside the courthouse, Matthew's friends and former military comrades gathered in support. They spoke of his loyalty, his humor, and his love for his children. He survived war zones. One said, he shouldn't have died in his own home. Reporters captured every moment: the tears, the protests, the haunting absence of a body. The story touched a nerve across the country. A soldier betrayed not by an enemy overseas, but by the person he trusted most. As the trial date approached, new revelations emerged. Phone records showed that Jennifer's parents had made multiple late-night calls on the day of the killing. Surveillance footage from a nearby gas station showed their car following Jennifer's truck hours before sunrise. In the bed of that truck, investigators believed, was Matthew's body. Both parents faced charges of obstruction of justice, evidence tampering, and accessory after the fact. They pleaded not guilty. But unlike their daughter, they spoke to police. Their statements didn't align. One claimed they never saw a body. The other admitted they helped her clean up. It was all prosecutors needed to argue conspiracy. By November 2024, The preliminary hearings painted a chilling narrative. Jennifer had planned the murder for weeks, manipulated those closest to her, and carried out the act with precision. The judge ordered her to remain in custody without bail. While the legal system prepared for trial, public fascination with the case only grew. True crime forums debated motives. Was Jennifer driven by fear, greed, or passion? Some sympathized with her, claiming she was trapped in a toxic marriage. Others saw only cold calculation. The truth, like Matthew's body, remained hidden somewhere in the dark. In early 2025, prosecutors held a press conference. They announced new forensic evidence: trace amounts of Matthew's blood found in the bed of his pickup truck, the same truck Jennifer was seen driving on surveillance video. That evidence, they said, tied the case together. Reporters asked if they believed Matthew was dead. The district attorney's answer was simple: "We do, and we intend to prove who killed him." For Jennifer, life behind bars was far from the suburban comfort she once knew. Letters to her children were screened. Her parents, now co-defendants, were kept in separate facilities. According to jail records, she spent hours each day writing notes and reading the Bible. In interviews with her lawyer, she maintained the same story: that Matthew was violent, that he left the house alive, that she had nothing to do with his disappearance. But every new piece of evidence seemed to erode that defense. Prosecutors released excerpts from Jennifer's digital diary, saved on a cloud account. In one entry weeks before the murder, she wrote, "He says I can leave. He'll take the kids. He thinks he owns me. I need to end this somehow." To a jury, those words would look like premeditation. As the December 2025 trial date approached, tension in Ogden grew. Local news stations replayed footage of the house, the search sites, and family photos of Matthew in uniform. Commentators dissected Jennifer's motives while neighbors avoided the cameras, ashamed their town had become the backdrop for such horror. Inside the courtroom, the prosecution outlined their case with clinical precision. The gunshot, they said, came from Matthew's own weapon, a firearm registered in his name but found wiped clean of prints. The bullet recovered from the wall matched that weapon. Forensics linked blood spatter to the position of the bed, proving he'd been shot while lying down. There were no signs of a struggle. In her defense, Jennifer's attorney painted a picture of fear. He described years of emotional manipulation, a husband who controlled finances, and arguments that left Jennifer terrified. He claimed she acted in self-defense, that she hid the body out of panic, and that her parents only tried to protect her. Without a body, he reminded the jury, no one could be absolutely sure what had happened. The courtroom listened in silence as Jennifer took the stand. Her voice was soft, measured, occasionally trembling. She described a marriage filled with love at first, then anger. She said Matthew had grabbed her that night, that she reached for the gun by instinct. She said she blacked out, that when she opened her eyes, he was bleeding. She didn't remember pulling the trigger. "I just wanted him to stop yelling," she whispered. For a moment, the jury seemed to waver. Then prosecutors played the recording again, the one where she said, "It's done." The emotion drained from the room. The trial lasted 4 weeks. Each day revealed new layers of deceit. The affair, the staged messages, the cleaning supplies bought with cash. By the final week, even those who had once defended Jennifer began to turn away. When closing arguments began, the prosecutor's words were simple. Matthew Johnson survived battles most of us can't imagine. He came home to raise his children. He trusted the person who shared his bed, and she took his life while he slept. The defense countered with emotion, urging jurors to consider Jennifer's fear and mental state. They reminded the court that there was no body, no final proof of death, only inference. They asked for mercy. After 3 days of deliberation, the jury returned. The foreman stood, holding the verdict form. Guilty of second-degree murder, obstruction of justice, and evidence tampering. Her parents were found guilty of accessory after the fact. Jennifer Gledhill showed no visible reaction. Her attorney placed a hand on her shoulder, but she didn't look up. The judge thanked the jury, then addressed her directly. "You have taken a father from his children, a soldier from his country, and peace from this community," he said. "You will spend the rest of your life reflecting on that." The courtroom was silent, except for Quiet sobs from Matthew's family. Outside, snow had begun to fall soft. Slow flakes drifting over the courthouse steps. For many, it felt like the first moment of calm after a storm that had lasted more than a year. Jennifer was later sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Her parents received lesser sentences but remained behind bars. The search for Matthew's body continues, though investigators admit that after so much time, recovery may never be possible. In the months that followed, interest in the case faded. The headlines moved on. But for those who knew Matthew, the absence never did. His children still visit a memorial stone engraved with his name, even though his remains are missing. His military brothers gather every year to honor him, placing a folded flag and a photo at the site where he once lived. When asked about forgiveness, one of his friends said quietly, "Maybe one day, but not yet." As for Jennifer, prison records describe her as quiet and compliant. She spends most days in the library or chapel, rarely speaking of the past. Some say she has found religion. Others say she's simply waiting, still convinced she'll walk free someday. The story of Jennifer Gledhill and Matthew Johnson is more than a crime. It's a portrait of how love can turn into possession, how lies can grow until they consume everything. It's a reminder that even in peaceful towns, darkness can live behind closed doors, because evil rarely arrives as a stranger. Sometimes it's someone you know, someone you trust, someone you once loved. And when that trust is broken, the damage lasts long after the cameras stop rolling and the headlines fade away. Sometimes the scariest stories aren't about what's found, but about what's never seen again.